bill is a standard maker's mash bill, which is a 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. The MSRP is unknown, and the reason why it's unknown is because
is this like 2 liter of Coke? This was like $14.99 when it came out.
It probably was. It was.
And welcome everyone to episode 98 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you are going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Stephen and Anthony. Hello, sir.
Hello, good sir. How are you doing?
I'm actually very excited about tonight's episode.
You know something? I'm also pretty excited.
This will be our first Dusty review bottle episode.
That's right, and that's significant because people that do the bourbon, that drink the bourbons, they like Dusties, and I've always kind of wondered why. I haven't really understood that, but tonight we're going to get into it.
We are. And I think to kick things off, I would like to go down memory lane.
Okay.
Of kind of the top things that happened the year this bottle came out.
Okay. And we can't reveal that year yet.
Right.
Okay.
So in this year of the bottle.
Yes, sir.
Google was founded.
Wow. That's quite a long time ago.
Yes. The ladies will like this one.
Oh, no.
FDA approved Viagra.
Something I still don't need. So, yeah, there you go.
Still going strong.
It's still going strong.
Apple revealed the iMac.
Oh, yeah. Geez, this is getting tough now. I'm starting to think like what year this was. But
I think the next one might be a dead giveaway for somebody.
Yeah.
This was the year Seinfeld had its last episode.
Oh man, do you remember
the year
that
went off the air
when they ended up in the prison at the end?
Mm-hmm. This is the year that I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Oh, you talking about Bill Jeff Clinton?
That's what I'm talking about.
Bill Jeff. You know, it's funny. I was about to say, is this 2000? But now I'm thinking it might be a little bit earlier than that.
Something About Mary and the Truman Show came out in theaters.
Man, how great was Something About Mary?
Oh,
Ben Stiller.
That hair gel stuff.
The hair gel. Ben Stiller had such a run though. Like, didn't he have a great run back then?
He did.
I mean, what is he doing now? Like, I guess I don't follow his career closely enough, but I'd love to know what he's doing.
All right. MP3 players were all the rage.
Oh man. I remember I had an RCA MP3 player.
RCA.
I had an RCA MP3 player that I used to go to the gym with. That was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And this year, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston were still strong.
Oh, that's before Brangelina, before they broke off, and Brad got with the. What's Angelina Jolie doing now? My God!
And speaking of Jennifer,
she's old.
This is when people were still rocking the Rachel haircut.
Oh, no way! God, this is too much, man. I'm feeling really old right now.
This year, also, "Baby One More Time" was a new single.
You talking about Britney Spears?
I am, and we'll do two more.
Okay, two more. Here it is.
And this year, Frank Sinatra passed away.
Oh, old blue eyes.
Old blue eyes. And
I was going to say, you should see Steven. A tear came to his eyes when he thought about Frank Sinatra.
And a 2 liter of Coca-Cola was 89 cents.
Jeez, if a 2 liter of Coca-Cola is 89 cents, how much was a gallon of gas?
About the same.
Oh, my God. Jeez. Wow. So, man, that is a lot.
How did it make you feel?
It made me feel old, and now I'm thinking like I know that we will pull the veil back here soon enough, and we'll reveal what year we're talking about.
Right.
But before we do that,
we have some shout outs to go through.
We do have a shout out. So actually, this shout out's username is great. I like it. It's I Like NFL, and the title of his review, a 5-star review, mind you, is Laid Back Bourbon Buddies. Do you know that we're Laid Back Bourbon Buddies?
We are laid back.
Laid back. So his review says, or his or her review says, I honestly love this show. Just discovered it about a month ago, and have been going through the library from beginning on my commutes to and from work. It is nice hearing honest opinions on both easy and harder to find bottles. Keep up the great work and find that Weller 12. That's a direct.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Steven will get that Weller 12 soon enough. But I love the fact that got mentioned. That's like it's almost a classic by now, right?
Is.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And if anyone else wants a shout out, just leave a review on Apple Podcasts. The next time we record, we will give you a shout out.
No doubt.
All right, Anthony. Here it comes.
The moment is coming.
This bottle looks like it hasn't changed in 30 years.
That's true.
It's a little bit different. It's black.
It is black.
Got some black elements to it.
Yep.
So, Anthony, for this week, we have a bottle of Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon, not Kentucky Straight Whiskey.
Oh, that's a big difference.
That is a big difference.
Yeah. So this bottle of Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon, says bourbon on the front of it, was actually distilled at the Maker's Mark Distillery on Star Hill Farm in Loretta, Kentucky. The bottle date is 1998. Nice for, they got that screw top going for episode 98, right?
There you go.
The ABV is 47.5. The proof is 95. The age is non-age stated, but this is rumored to be 8 to 10 years old.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and the mash bill is a standard Maker's mash bill, which is a 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. The MSRP is unknown. And the reason why it's unknown is because
Is this like 2 liter of Coke? This was like $14.99 when it came out?
It probably was. It was probably something ridiculous, like $20 when it came out. And of course, now we'll talk toward the end of the episode on if you wanted it, how much it would cost you these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bottle is Timeless Makers.
It is.
Besides, it has black wax. It has a black seal press, black label with gold lettering, and some Japanese lettering at the bottom of it.
Yes, sir. And the other thing I want to note, and we kind of alluded to this when we were talking about it, is if you look at a bottle of Maker's Mark, current Maker's Mark, it says Maker's Mark whiskey, and no E. But this one says very prominently Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon, right?
Yep.
And so that's a big difference of what you would normally see on a Maker's Mark bottle, but everything else is kind of the same except for the fact that it's black and gold.
So was this only an import? Because I'm seeing a bunch of Japanese writing on this.
It's a good thing you asked that question, Stephen, because I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth. I don't know what my voice is doing.
Someone had to
there.
ask it.
So the nearest I could tell on these black wax Maker's bottles, that's what they're commonly referred to now as the black wax Maker's bottles. They started back around 1994, and apparently the production run ended around 2000. I've seen them with the Japanese lettering, and I've also seen other ones that have just only United States, like English on them, and then they say export, but it's almost like they didn't put export stickers on them. So it's like some that were made for export but never got out of Kentucky or never got out, which makes sense, right? Hey, I'm your buddy. I give you a bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Christmas. Take this bottle, even though it's supposed to go to Japan. You can have it, right? It's this,
I'm not sure that's the Rado Kentucky.
Wait a minute. No, it's not. It's the Di Lucia Kentucky accent, right? So you guys know he's Italian, so it's a Di Lucia Kentucky accent. Like, hey, go, right there, have this black Maker's, right?
Old Blue Eyes be proud of you.
Yeah, there you go. Old Blue Eyes is coming back. So there was a lot of variations to the label, but the whiskey that was inside the bottle was all the same. And this black wax Maker's was supposedly selected from a lot of different barrels. So, standard Maker's now they say is like 6 years old. Is that right?
I think so.
And they rotate every barrel and they do everything. Well, at the time when this was released, the master distiller and vice president of Maker's was actually Dave Pickerell. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, and Dave Pickerell, of course, he's passed away way before his time, but he's responsible for a lot of brands that have done well in modern times and beyond. The one that people probably associate Dave Pickerell with the most is Whistle Pig, but he was actually with Maker's Mark during when this was released. So that's a little bit of other brilliance to this whiskey that I'm sure if Dave had his hand in it, then that's probably part of why it's, possibly pretty good.
Well, I'm excited. Let's go for our first nosing.
There we go. Nosing a dusty. This is just a different kind of nose. And so I'm going to lead with this, and I'd like to know what you think. Anytime I nose an older bourbon, which isn't a lot because I really haven't had the time to get into, well, not the time or the resources or the friends or anything to get into dusty bourbon.
Sounds like 3 strikes.
3 strikes and you're out. There's it's like a palpable old smelling note. So like think antique shop, think, a musty basement. And when I say a musty basement, like not in a bad way, I'm talking about like something that just feels classic and old when you're nosing it. That's kind of what you're getting. So like an older oak, a little musty, a little funky.
Yeah, I think right away you're hit with that kind of that funk.
Yeah.
And then it quickly goes into a butterscotch.
Oh yeah, the butterscotch is just, it's right in your face. That's a good one. I think you might get a little bit of cherry as well, like a slight bit of cherry.
Let's focus in on this musty smell.
Yes, sir.
Like I think you said earlier, like a hint of leather in it as well of an old nose.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know how else to really explain the dusty nose to people, and I'm not an expert in that, but if you are used to trying modern bourbon, and when I say modern bourbon, I'm talking like, okay, we're talking about something from 1998 here, but I'm talking about from maybe like 2010 on. You're going to be used to, even from 2000 on, you're going to be used to a certain type of cleanliness when it comes to the profile.
Right. Okay.
This just, I mean, it's so hard to say that. It's like, so I think back to, in my parents' house growing up before they replaced the carpet, which was probably about 13 years after I was born. And so there was different types of carpet in every room. And some of the rooms were a little bit more, what I would say, you could vacuum them forever, but they're not going to get all the dust that's accumulated in there. And so it's almost like a dusty, leathery, like just a weird smell feel that you get from like an old room, old carpet, like a old oak, like a paneling. It just has a different feel to it. I don't know what's responsible for that, but it definitely does not. If we had a glass of regular Maker sitting here right next to us now, it wouldn't smell anything like this.
I may be off my rocker here.
You might. You never know.
But for those that may never smell this,
okay,
or a dusty, could a modern take on it, now bear with me, would be a youthful bourbon,
okay,
that has kind of the grass mildew smell,
yeah,
but on the opposite end of the spectrum.
yeah. So that grainy youthfulness that you're talking about, like this is I think a nicely aged / better the maturation. So it's like you're saying, those are the kind of notes that people don't typically like in bourbon.
Yeah.
But once they get to a certain threshold and they've reached the peak maturity, I feel like this is what it turns into, right? So it's almost like a connection. It's like a bridge between the
old and new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I guess just to kind of have some sort of sense of where this nosing is coming from.
Yeah.
Because you really can't put your finger on it unless you smell it.
Yeah. But I think that's part of the issues with tasting any kind of dusty bourbon. The problem is nobody really knows what's responsible for the flavor. There's people saying it was distilling techniques. They're saying it's because it sits in the bottle for so long and eventually oxygen seeps in there just because no seal is airtight. There's all kinds of reasons why a dusty might taste the way that it does.
Well, I mean, if they went with a cork instead of a screw top, that would help things out.
Well, you never know.
I guess it's sealed, though.
Yeah. Makers with their screw tops, they've been doing it for a long time. Maybe they were just genius like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, without further ado, let's sip.
Here we go. If this is disappointing, I'm going to come over there and smack you.
Why me?
I don't know, because there's nobody else to smack.
Shut up and drink.
Okay.
That was an adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what. When you look at the color of this whiskey, it's pretty dark. It's got nice legs. And when we started tasting this, I was just kind of like overcome with how good this is. It's got a rich sweet oak flavor to it. It's got some butterscotch. It's got a little bit of cherry. It hits like everything.
It's got a great mouthfeel.
Great mouthfeel. Like rich liquid, right? Like it coats the mouth nicely.
Yeah, it just like hugs onto your tongue and your side of your mouth. And you can kind of feel it slowly drip down.
Yep. It's like dripping off the jawline. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was going to say is, do you get any astringency on this at all? Like anything that like makes you go, oh, that's alcohol-y or whatever? Like
it's kind of got like a beautiful, soft, like Kentucky hug.
I like that. I think it's a really good description.
It hangs around for a while. it's really comfortable, and it's like a joy to like let it kind of coat your throat and just work its way down.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, but I mean, this is like, yeah, it's not something, the finish is not a long finish.
No,
but it's
nor are the flavors.
Yeah, the flavors aren't long either.
It's a 1 or 2 trick pony.
Yes, but it's definitely very good. I mean, it's tasty in a lot of respects. Mm-hmm. So the other subtle flavor I pick up too is a little bit of cinnamon, which is interesting to me because I don't know that I get cinnamon on Weeders, and I don't particularly like cinnamon in bourbon, but I like it how it all comes together in this. Like it's almost like a very subtle cinnamon.
Where in the palate are you getting it?
It's almost like right at the beginning. It hits right at the beginning of the palate. Yep, right on the front.
Okay, right on the tip of your tongue.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I was getting it too. Yeah,
it's just I mean, again, you said it yourself. It's not like it's going to be going on roller coasters and everywhere else. It's just going to taste really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So real quickly, what do you think? Like, so how much dusty bourbon have you drank? Have you had a lot of dusty bourbon in your life?
No, I've not.
Yeah. And what's funny? I was thinking because you really have to know people that know what they're doing when it comes to dusty bourbon, because even though this is not like a dusty, we're not talking about like 1960s and 50s, and somebody I know had like a 1910 rye and stuff like that. You get a little more dicey there because you never know what was the vessel that it was in. Like sometimes they were in ceramic and other things that leach like chemicals that you don't want to be drinking stuff, lead and other things like that. I think that when you think about dusties and you think about everything that's going on with them, the reason why you almost need like a guru or somebody you're tasting them with is because you don't know, number one, what you're tasting. And then number two, like, how do you know what to taste, right?
Yeah, because a lot of those brands, they're long gone.
They're long gone. Then I've also heard from people too that when you get to the lower proof stuff, like 80 proof, that it's not as good as like stuff that's above 90 and even stuff that's above 100. And so when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, you're having your first taste of it here before we even get to pass, try, and buy. Like, is this something you'd want to be more involved with, tasting more of?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this kind of like an underground-ish type thing? Like Dusties?
Yeah.
Like, you obviously can't go to a store and buy this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Could you go to like a Justin's and buy this?
I think you could. I mean, they probably have some stuff like this.
If it's still in the store?
Yeah, if it's still in the store.
The feds haven't gotten it?
Gosh. I mean, you think about that. I don't want to sidetrack too much there, but like I appreciate the space that Justin's House of Bourbon has held in the marketplace and what they've done. And that's actually a good thing to bring up because they are, in 2018, when Kentucky passed the vintage spirits law, they became the place you go to get vintage bourbon. Mm-hmm. And recently they ran into a lot of legal issues because I mean, I'm going to speculate here, but I'm not going to go as far as to say anything definitive because I don't want to get in trouble. But I think it really had to come down to just companies like Sazerac and maybe some others that were kind of like angry with them and what they've done. And so they just felt like, they haven't come out, nobody's come out and directly said who's responsible for the raids and things that have happened over the last month and a half. But like, it's been kind of crazy to watch all that because Justin's has been like not only a really solid spot like for Kentucky and in the community, but then also beyond with people coming from all over the place to see the whiskeys they have primarily because they're vintage stuff and things that you can't get. And so, yeah, man, that's been unfortunate.
and to go with that, as of this recording, today or this week, Buffalo Trace announced a $1.2 billion expansion on their still so they could produce more of the Blantons and such. But, of course, we're not going to see this for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, probably not.
So I'm glad they're doing this, but, mark your calendars, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And, I like the current news and everything, but I also kind of think like there could have been some kind of happy medium. Like I didn't think that for the enthusiast community and everything else and stuff that happened. Like,
I mean, that's why they basically got raided, I think, per the newspaper.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Yeah.
With all these Blanton's bottles they had, and they're just buying them up and selling them for people.
Yeah, and what really
Buffalo Trace can't make enough.
Oh, I know. And the other thing is, like, not to go too far into this, but like they can't really, when Buffalo Trace says we can't verify this or verify that, well, the reason they can't verify it is because you think about this, like we've talked in previous episodes that we've got Blantons from overseas and other places. Well, what do you think happens overseas? People that have these kind of shops like Justin's overseas, they buy it from all the other people in Europe. So it's not about what Buffalo Trace ships to Sazerac ships to one entity. It goes far beyond that. It's like, because they're doing the same kind of stuff. They're buying stuff. So I don't think anybody knows what's going on. I just wish that didn't go the way that it did, because I feel like it really, even not being a like large shopper at Justin's or having much to do with them, like I just appreciate their space and whiskey. Yeah, exactly. I just like having them there.
Well, with that, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Would you pass, try, or buy on this 1998 bottle of Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon?
I am. It's gonna. So here's the thing. Okay, when we're talking about a vintage bottle, we have to talk about price.
The only thing is price.
Price. It's always price. And so, I have been fortunate to get some of these from people that are either collectors or they're not drinkers, but they might have the bottle and they just want to get rid of it. So, in the current market right now, I think you'd have to pay between $350 and $425 for this bottle. Mm-hmm. And with that being the case, I will say if I can get at under $350 or under, I'm going to buy it all day. If I got to start paying more than $400 for this, and I did see somebody, this old timer who everyone calls an OG here in the Lexington area, had posted 2 of these not that long ago. He wanted $4.75 a piece, and I was like, apparently dude's not seeing inflation or anything else. He just assumed that like people still had the same kind of money they used to have, but of course they didn't get bought at $4.75. So I think really you got to be under $350 for this. But I will say this: if you are one of those people out there that says bad things about Makers, or says that the whiskey's not good or whatever, you got to try this, because it's solid stuff. It's really good.
I mean, what's the thing I've always said? I can't drink Maker's straight.
Yep.
I absolutely love it as a mix.
Yep.
And I love cooking with it. Mm. But kind of like my lowest Maker's neat is cast strength.
Okay.
And up. So
some of the modern stuff.
Yeah.
There's no old cast strength.
Right. So this is delicious neat.
I know. Don't mind if I do. I'm having another sip right now.
It is expensive.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's very hard to find.
Yeah.
You've got to try this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You got to try it.
Yeah, you have to try it.
But I would say if you come under, I don't know how you feel about this, but if you're under $350, I say you got to buy it like all day. And that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's just like a different thing than like a modern like top shelf.
Yeah.
And
well, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Let's try to contextualize this. You got people that will pay $240 to $50 for a Weller 12. So you spend $100 more than a Weller 12, and you can get this. So
this is a lot better than 12.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think so too. So I just think it's keeping things in perspective and understanding that obviously don't go on a dusty train. You spend a lot of money on a dusty train. But I do think that, keeping things in perspective, it's a really excellent, I mean, I think I told you that story. I took this bourbon and blinded a lot of people with it. And, down in when I visited my brother, and everyone thought it was like older. I had one guess that someone thought it was William Rue Weller. Now, the proof, the proof is way off. But I mean, the flavors, people really liked what they were tasting. So
I guess as my first dusty.
Yes, sir.
It is pricey. Mm-hmm. But it's very good.
Okay.
I would say if I came across it in my hands,
okay,
I would have a hard time putting it back down.
Oh, nice. So you might, we might have a double buy here, but again, a price contingent.
Yeah.
Price contingent.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you would have bought that one that was local here for $4.75 recently, which no one. All day. Yeah, no. And the other thing I want to say, just giving a piece of advice to folks out there who might be thinking, "How can I get this bottle?" Well, There's actually another alternative to the Maker's Black Wax. That's the gold label stuff that came out around the same time that pretty much is the same, other than that it's a little bit higher proof, and some people like that, don't like it. But I have tried to seek some of the older, higher proof makers. So they make like a lot of gold wax 101 proofs and things like that. And so here's my advice. And Stephen, I'm going to give you this advice too, because
I'm all ears.
You know more people than I do in Kentucky, because I moved here and you grew up here. Find friends and family friends and other people that have Maker's Mark collections, because chances are in their collection they might have this bottle and they might not know what it is. That doesn't mean you go in there and tell them like, okay, I'll take it off you for $20.
Yeah.
It means that you go find the people that have the collections. They might be wanting to move the collections. A lot of people have Maker's collections. They're like legacy things. They're passed down to the family. They're all the logoed bottles and things that don't have any different bourbon in them. But the gold wax and the black wax are probably sitting on a lot of shelves in Kentucky and places beyond for people that are collectors, and they might be willing to let those go for a little bit less than $350. So go find those folks, seek them out. I don't know, it was like called pickers, American pickers for bourbon. Mm-hmm. and
I mean, I know several Maker's Mark collectors.
Okay.
That just buy for the annual.
Exactly.
I'm thinking of one person in particular.
Okay. That might have some of these.
Shoot an email and say,
you might say, hey, you got any of these?
By chance, do you have a black or gold wax from the 90s?
Yep.
So if I say black or gold wax, do I need to specify the 90s, or by default, by saying black or gold wax, it's going to be from the 90s?
I think you would have to just make sure that whatever you're looking at, you got a picture of, because Makers did make some what are those? They were like a square shaped bottle that has like a plate on the front of it that had gold wax on it. And those ones were, I think, just made for customization purposes and didn't have the same kind of liquid. But the 90s and before gold wax and the black wax all have a similar, they all taste different, but they have like a similar aura to them, is the best way to put it.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.